and welcome to the Origsburg Area Free Public Library. We're doing our summer reading program, which is myths, folk tales, and fairy tales. I'll be concentrating on fairy tales, which are fictional stories that involve magic, magical creatures, or magical places. Before I get to my story, I'd like to read or go over a little finger play that I have about 5 little fairies. 5 little fairies playing by the pond. One fell in and lost their wand. Mama called the wizard, and the wizard did respond, "No more fairies sitting by the pond." 4 little fairies sitting by the pond. One jumped in and lost their wand. Mama called the wizard, and the wizard did respond, "No more fairies sitting by the pond." 3 little fairies sitting by the pond. One fell in and lost their wand. Mama called the wizard, and the wizard did respond, "No more fairies sitting by the pond." 2 little fairies sitting by the pond. One fell in and lost their wand. Mama called the wizard, and the wizard did respond, "No more fairies sitting by the pond." 1 little fairy sitting by the pond. He jumped in and lost his wand. Mama called the wizard, and the wizard did respond, "No more fairies sitting by the pond." 5 little fairies have a special bond. The wizard lesson finally dawned, not to use your magic, lose your magic wand. And that is the 5 little fairies finger play. Okay, now the story I'm going to read is Franklin and the Tooth Fairy by Paulette Bourgeois and Brenda Clark. And there's Franklin in his shell. And Franklin and the Tooth Fairy. And there he is again. There's the Tooth Fairy. Franklin could count by 2s and tie his shoes. He had lots of good friends and one best friend named Bear. Bear and Franklin were the same age. They lived in the same neighborhood and they liked the same games. But one morning, Franklin discovered a way that he and Bear were different. There they are on their way to school. Waiting for the school bus, Bear put his paw in his mouth and wiggled a tooth back and forth, back and forth. It jiggled and wiggled and wiggled and jiggled, and then with a tug, it came out. "Look at this," Bear said. "I lost my first tooth." Franklin was startled. There was even a little blood on the tooth. "That's terrible. How are you going to tell your mother?" Bear laughed. "My teeth are supposed to fall out," said Bear. "It makes room for my grown-up teeth." Franklin ran his tongue around his gums. They were smooth and firm and completely toothless. "I don't have any teeth," said Franklin. It was Bear's turn to be surprised. Franklin's friends shook their heads sadly. "Too bad." Franklin wondered why. He had never needed teeth before. Bear wrapped his tooth in a bit of tissue and put it very carefully in his backpack. "I need to keep this safe," he said. All the way to school, Franklin wondered why Bear wanted to keep his tooth safe, especially if he was going to get a brand new grown-up tooth. Now that was exciting. "Why do you want to keep your tooth?" asked Franklin. "Won't you get a big one soon?" All his friends looked at Franklin in amazement. They didn't know why he wanted to save the tooth. "Don't you know about the Tooth Fairy?" asked Fox. Franklin shook his head. "No, at night before you go to sleep, you put your baby tooth under your pillow, then the Tooth Fairy comes and takes the tooth away," explained Fox. "But that's stealing," said Franklin. "Besides, what does a Tooth Fairy do with all those teeth?" Good question. There was a long pause. Bear scratched his head, Fox swished his tail, and Rabbit twitched. "I don't know," said Bear, "but she always leaves something behind." "One of her own teeth?" asked Franklin, and everybody laughed. "Oh, Franklin, the Tooth Fairy leaves a present." Franklin wondered what kind of present a Tooth Fairy would leave. "I hope I get some money," said Bear. There he is. "And when I lost my first tooth, I got a new book," said Raccoon. And Fox said, "I got crayons." Franklin rubbed his gums. He wished he had a loose tooth to leave for the fairy. for the Tooth Fairy. He wanted a present too. Bear showed his tooth to Mr. Owl as soon as he got to school. Mr. Owl was very exciting. Losing your baby teeth means you are growing up. Franklin did not say anything. He had no teeth, but he wanted to feel grown up too. Franklin was quiet for the rest of the day. Even at home, Franklin was quieter than usual. What's wrong? Asked Franklin's mother. I don't have any teeth, he answered. Well, neither do we, said his father. That's the way turtles are. But I want teeth, said Franklin, and his parents looked surprised. My friends get presents from the Tooth Fairy when they lose their teeth, said Franklin. Why do they get presents for old teeth? Asked Franklin's father. Because it means they are growing up, said Franklin. I see, said his father. That night, just before bed, Franklin had a good idea. Perhaps tooth fairies didn't know that turtles have no teeth. He found a tiny white rock to put under his shell, and he asked his mother to help him write a note that read, Dear Tooth Fairy, this is a turtle tooth. You may not have seen one before. Please leave a present. Franklin. Franklin woke up early the next morning and he looked under his shell. The rock was gone, but there was a note instead of a present. He ran to his parents' room. What does it say? He asked. Franklin's father put on his reading glasses. Dear Franklin, sorry, turtles don't have teeth. Good try, though. Your friend, the Tooth Fairy. Franklin was very unhappy until he noticed a big wrapped package near his breakfast bowl. Open it, said Franklin's mother. Inside was a beautiful book. Well, who is this from? Said Franklin. It's from us, said his parents, to celebrate you growing up. Franklin stood very tall and said, Thank you. From then on, Franklin didn't worry about being different from Bear. He knew that in all the important ways, he and Bear were exactly the same. And that is the end of this story. But before we go, I wanted to let you know we wanted to invite you into the library and pick up your Tooth Fairy craft bag, and you can make your own Tooth Fairy. Thank you very much, and have a good day.